It's the middle of November 2020, and I wanted to record at this point some of my developments this summer primarily, on the auto gardens, and to document where the plants are developmentally at this point. What you're looking at now are the 4 racks that are in the crawl space in the basement, all under fluorescent lights. And I'm going to show about the general construction of the auto gardens first. First of all, you'll see that these things can pull out from the crawl space. But here's the general construction of the auto gardens that I find works out well. There's let's see, the best place to look at it, I guess to start, is over here. There's a microgreen, a micro fiber cloth that's sitting on top of a piece of styrofoam, and the styrofoam is sitting on top of some blocks that creates a reservoir at the bottom of this plastic bin, a reservoir for water, and the microfibers absorb the water up and form the microfiber cloths go across the whole surface there. And in this setup, I have a piece of plastic with holes in it that eliminate algae growth on the microfiber cloth and minimize evaporation. What you see here are plants that were just cuttings that were just stuck in the ground, and because this system gives constant amount of water, the roots get started quickly and flourish quite nicely. You'll see even more examples of older plants that have been in this system longer and do better. Now, to keep the water supply at a good level, I have inverted bottles. These are San Pellegrino water bottle, but you could usually use wine, obviously, and I like the green because it inhibits the growth of anything inside the bottle in the water. And in those areas where I don't have the plastic covering, I just lay some aluminum foil, again to keep the cloth from getting algae on it. But here's some examples of things that are growing in here. You can take tomato cuttings and stick them in the ground and they will root. Leaves of African violets you can stick in the ground and they'll root. Begonias. Here are some begonia seeds that I collected off the flowers earlier in the summer, and I put them on. They're very, very, very small seeds. Here are some African violet leaves that I've started. Over here, this is Mandevilla. This is a nice viney plant. Look how beautiful those glossy leaves are. It's a viney plant. Again, these were just rooted cuttings that I stuck into the ground, and they're rooted and forming plants. Let's see, if I go over here, and pull this one out. These are some more rooted cuttings of angel wing begonias now, but these are little seedlings of vinca that I started. Actually, they started all by themselves in the pots, and I just transplanted them into these containers. Just one thing about the containers, they have holes in the bottom so that they can make contact with the microfiber cloth there, and the water gets sucked up from the bottom and absorbed by the dirt and sucked up from water. And a nice even flow of water, not too wet, and these plants really like it. Here are just some of the herbs that we brought in from the garden so that they don't get frosted. Okay, so that's over here. Now, take you through the other parts of the garden, of the basement. Here are tomato plants that started from cuttings. They're doing quite nicely. These were cuttings of Husky Cherry Red, and because they're cuttings from mature plants in the middle of the summer, they already had flowers, and you'll see there are tomatoes started on it. These should come to full ripeness underneath these fluorescent lights. Again, they're sitting on a piece of microfiber. Then this is a trough made from a piece of PVC, square PVC vinyl of fence post covering that I cut in half and then sealed off the ends. But what I've done differently here is I've taken some plastic and cut little holes in it and a little hinge on it using the duct tape and painted the whole thing, and that provides a nice way of creating a square hole. But if you look at one of these other taller tomato plants, I have a wooden stick go through the holes of the plastic and a rubber band, so it holds it nice and securely. So even though it's quite tall, it doesn't need to have a really large pot. And you'll see here there's a couple of pipettes that are held up with rubber bands, and the tomato plant is held within the rubber bands. Okay, over here are some more plants. These are ones that were grown outside and just brought in. They're sitting down on the microfiber, but in this case I have weed block on top of it. What this does is it minimizes the amount, or lowers the amount of water that gets through to the plant, so they don't become waterlogged, and it also eliminates the growth of algae on the cloths. These cloths are machine washable. That's why I use the microfiber. I can just pop them into the washing machine and they'll do a nice job of cleaning them up. We've done this several times now. So here are some begonias that were rooted. Just stuck some begonia cuttings into the ground, and over time they formed roots and they've started to grow as plants. Here are African violets that I rooted from leaves. See how beautifully they do in this system. Nice even watering. Now I'm going to take you to another rack here. You get to see a little bit better how I have all, the principle is the same, the microfiber and a reservoir underneath, but I can use all kinds of different containers to do that. Here's a bin of African violets. These are miniature African violets. All of these were started by leaves, except for these tall ones. These are, again, the vincas. But let me show you where I get these things. It's really amazing. Here are the little seeds that have germinated just on the top of the soil. And you see right here, this is a seed pod. So it splits open and drops the seeds down into the soil and starts the little plants. So all I do is pluck those out using a bit of a popsicle stick and put them into another pot. So even though these plants don't look too healthy, they are starting to form roots. These were just cuttings, and they will pick up again. But the beauty of it is that the seed pods still ripen even though they're just cuttings. So I'm accomplishing a lot at the same time. Let's see, so here's some more begonia cuttings. They really do, the begonias really do quite well, and the violets do as well. And I think that's about it. Again, the construction is a layer of something that blocks the water, a microfiber layer, and then some structure that holds the microfibers claws up off the bottom of the tray and creates a reservoir. Okay.